Awesome. I see a handful of folks in here. So I'll just kind of go ahead and get started here. I'm Steve. I'm the CEO of Pipefile, and I'm here with Regina with Lawyers on the Beach. Thanks again for putting all this together, Regina.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah, really happy to have everybody here, and would love to kind of go through kind of a sample request, kind of show everybody kind of how the product works. And then, Regina, maybe you can touch on kind of your experience with the product and how it's worked for you. And then we can kind of open up a Q&A and kind of go from there. So great. I'm just going to log in here. I assume everyone can see my screen. I'm just going to open up my demo account here and kind of show you all how to start out with Pipefile. So, if anybody here hasn't seen Pipefile before, this is generally kind of what the inbox is going to look like. And this is really designed to look a lot like an email inbox. Each one of these items here is an individual file request. And just like an email inbox, the ones that are grayed out have already been opened and read. And anything that is white hasn't been read yet. So if you open that up, we can see we have some documents here. And then when we go back, that item goes back to gray because we've opened it up. And we have the ability to mark things as unread, just like a normal email inbox. But to get started, I'm just going to kind of show you all kind of how the system works. It's based around this idea of requesting files from clients. And so one of the nice things that we've done is we have these templates. And the templates can help you set up like a checklist that you might ask for a specific process that you may have, like a new client intake or anything like that. So we have some sample checklists here. And as you can see, when you select the templates from this drop-down menu, we just open up the new request form, and it's just pre-filled with some information here. So, we have document 1, document 2. Document 1 has a little attachment here, so you can attach forms. If you need somebody to download a PDF and sign it or fill something out or have extra instructions, you can put that there. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and put myself here as a recipient, just so that we can kind of get started and show you all how the system works. So you'll just put a name and email. You can also add a phone number here as well, and we'll send text reminders to your clients. And if you have multiple recipients on one request, like a husband and wife type of scenario, you can just add a CC recipient, and they'll both get the same link emailed to them. But for simplicity's sake here, we'll just go with one recipient. And we have reminders here. The default is typically 3 days, so we'll set this to 3 days. And then by default, the request will expire in 1 month, but you can change that depending on what your process looks like. So I'll just go ahead and hit send requests, just so we can kind of get started here. You can copy this link. We'll also send it to your clients in an email and a text message. Yeah, it'll just prompt them to come into this page where we'll have your name, your email, and on the professional plan, you can customize this with your logo and colors and all that, so that it looks consistent with your firm. But here we just have a simple checklist here. If you click on these icons here, it gives a little bit more information as to whether it's incomplete or pending review, and the client can jump right to them. Otherwise, if they just hit start, it'll just bring them through the process here. And it's pretty straightforward. We just have a couple options here. We just have the title of the document, the instructions, any attachments that you might have. And then the client has the option to kind of skip through these items or mark something as not applicable. Otherwise, they can just add their files right here. Really easy, simple drag and drop kind of functionality here. Just makes it really easy for your clients to upload the documents that you need from them, because we know that that's what we're all here for, help save you time. Yeah, just kind of add a couple documents here just to show you all. Let's see. I'll add a poster here. And the files get encrypted in the browser before being uploaded. And you can add multiple files here as well. So we'll add another sample document. And then the client will just hit next, and the files will get uploaded, and it'll jump to the next step. Now, if they don't have something, they can just hit skip for now and skip through the list. And then if they go back to the beginning, the checklist will be updated. This one has been submitted, so it's pending review. and they can always add more. And then these items are still incomplete. And from your end, you'll receive email notifications along the way. And when you come into the request page on the dashboard here, you'll see kind of an overview here of the request. You'll see the documents that have been submitted. In the views section here, you'll see the times that the link has been opened up so that you can confirm that your client has actually received the documentation. And then down here, we just have the documents. So Pipefile poster, we can click and preview that, take a look at the documents here. And then we can accept that by checking this box right there. And that will just check it off on your end. And from the client's perspective, that will now show as accepted. And one of the things that I think everybody really likes about this is the ability to kind of accept or reject files. So when the client submits something, if they submit for instance tax returns in the wrong year, you can reject the submission and say, hey, this is the wrong year, please submit more. So I'll just add a quick document here just to show you all how that works. And if we come back over here, we'll have one more here. And if we just hit this X button here, we have the option to give a little note to the client. And if in the case that the submission was incomplete, you can check keep the originals, and that will keep all the original documents here. Otherwise, we will just delete the original documents that have been submitted and have a little note. So we could just say, wrong year, please resubmit. And that will notify the client as well. And when they come back in here, now this item has been rejected. And if we go to that, there'll be a little error message here for the client. And so then they can submit documents again, and that will kind of open it up for review once again. And once you have everything, once everything looks good, you'll just hit mark completed, and that will send your client a notification that you've received and reviewed everything that they've submitted, and that there's nothing left for them to do. Of course, you could send them another request in the future as well, but this will at least close the thread on this checklist of documents. So I'll just hit mark complete, and that will be marked completed. And when it's completed, it will go into this completed folder right here. So you can see Steve demo. So right here, we kind of have a couple different folders here. All requests will just show everything. And then we have a couple different folders for items that are still in process. So incomplete, anything that's in sent is still we're still sending reminders. And so you can see here, like 1 out of 3, 0 out of 3, you can kind of get an idea of the progress of some of these items. Anything in responded, everything has been submitted, but has not been marked completed yet. And then if all the items haven't been submitted and it reaches the expiration date, it will move into this expired folder. Yeah. Looks like we have a couple questions in the Q&A. Can we add new request items to a completed request? Right now, when you complete a request, it's closed, so there's no undoing that. If you would like to add items to an in-progress request, you can certainly do that. So for instance, in this sent column, we have a item right here. If we hit this pencil icon right here, edit request, this lets us edit the request. You can add a new item here. You can drag it around to reorder the checklist, and that will be reflected in the link. So once you edit that, the link will be updated with that information.
So Alvin, practically, there may not be a reason to close the request until the case is over. So in litigation, usually discovery is kind of ongoing right up until trial. So even if your client responds to an initial slew of requests, at some point you may have to update it. So instead of having to do a whole new request, you can just go in and edit the in progress request, and then it'll save you a lot of time. But you can just, send an email to your client for now and say, for now we're good. But then 6 months later, when you need to update, then you can just go into the request and say, okay, now I need the last 6 months of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So, the system is pretty flexible in that sense. You can kind of use it how you see fit, whether you want to keep one kind of large open request going for your entire case, or if you want to break things up into individual requests. It's really up to you. Yeah, Regina, I know you had some screenshots you maybe wanted to share. Is it a good time for that?
Well, yeah, sure. So I'll just show kind of generally how I use it. So I'm sure, hopefully you can see my screen. Most people have seen this meme. So most people know that I practice family law, and this meme just kind of captures everything that we go through. And the reason why the system really works for me is because this happens to us all the time. We say, please give us your PDF bank statements, and we get screenshots. Or someone takes a picture from, halfway across the room and thinks that is going to work. So having the ability to reject those submissions and to be specific about why we're rejecting those submissions is priceless. So I will share my requests and how I do that. Okay, so here are my request screens, and these are my templates that I've done so far. So we'll just do discovery requests to clients, and I'll actually send to myself. So what we do is we give them instructions in a PDF file. So these are my instructions, and my instructions are actually all on my page as well, my Lawyer on the Beach group page. So if you go to my main link, I have my instructions posted there. So for interrogatory responses, I give a pretty detailed, I'm not sure if I can expand this, but I give a pretty detailed explanation of how I want them to respond to their discoveries. And then of course I attach the document as well. It's going to be a Word document for them to download. And I actually go through for each request, I make it its own category. So I just cut and paste from the other side's request. I put in here what the request is, and that way they just go through it one at a time. So I've already put the name and email, so I'll just hit send request. And then, like I said, this is the link that you can copy and we just use for our records, but the system automatically will text it to them and email it to them. So then I'll show you what it looks like on the client side. So here's the email that I just sent to myself, and your client's going to get a text as well. So all they have to do is click this big orange button. It's pretty hard to mess up. So these are the things that I'm requesting. So they just hit start, and I'm just going to upload some random files. Let's see. Sure. Go to the next one, skip that one, upload, let's upload something. Okay, so now I'm done. So at this point, I should get, and this tells me what I've skipped. So when your client says, oh, I don't know what I'm missing, they're lying, because they're going to get an update that shows them what is green for good and what is red, which is bad. So from going back to my file, give me 1 second. The main page will show all my client names, so I have to pull this one up first. Okay, so this is the request that we just got back that I just sent to myself. So here, if I wanted to reject something, I can just reject it this way, or I can edit notes, but then this tells me what my client has given me and then what is still left to do. And so I've got some screenshots too that kind of show what everything looks like also. So this is what the client looks at initially, which are the discovery explanations when I first send it out. And this is what it looks like. This is actually from the real client that I used. She was the guinea pig, and the first day that I got the system, I sent it to her and she thought it was amazing. But so these are all the requests. There were something like 42, and she got everything back to me within 2 hours. So as you can see, there were a couple that were missing. But these were the requests that we sent, and then you can see when she finished it, everything is marked green. And I don't know why this is so large. So this is what it looks like on the phone as well. So the client sees pretty easily what's missing and what's not. And the great thing about it too is when it's done completely, you can just hit download and you get everything downloaded to you in a zip file. So when you extract it, all of the folders are just automatically sorted with the names that you give them. So it saves us a ton of time in terms of, usually when we send requests, we're just saying, hey, give us all the stuff. They're giving it back to us in any kind of random order, and we spend a whole bunch of time assigning it to the correct category and the correct folder. This does it for you. So automatically when it downloads, it's in the folder. The folder has the correct name. All the documents are there. It literally could not be easier. Does anyone else have a question? Oh, also, Steve, I think you have some stuff coming up. I got an email from you guys earlier, and I think this is like your Trello board of things that are coming soon, and then ideas that you're kind of kicking around of ways to kind of update the system.
Yeah, that's right. I was just about to bring that up. So, been getting a lot of emails from all of you, about features that you wanted to see. Some customers, were asking about a little bit more transparency. So, I'd like to just kind of open up the roadmap a little bit so that everybody can kind of see the things that we're working on and kind of the things that we're considering adding to the system. Just today, I released the ability to reorder the checklist items. So now when you're creating your checklist, you can easily just drag and drop items around the checklist and reorder them and then save the checklist. And that can be really helpful, especially, like Regina had, really long checklists. When you have really long ones, it just makes it that much easier to add a new item and drag it to, the correct location in the list. And so, I just wanted to kind of share with all of you kind of this link here. I know we just talked about exporting all the items into a zip file. A lot of customers have asked about converting things into like one big PDF. And so we kind of have some items that we're working on here in the coming soon. These are kind of items that have already been kind of scoped and, I'm kind of aware of that are on my radar here. And then we have a column here for some ideas. These are items that a lot of customers have asked about, but, still try to figure out the right, how to design that into the system. Because, really striving to make this system just as easy and simple to use as possible. And so as we add new features, really trying to take into consideration the simplicity of the product and, keeping that, keeping the product really simple and easy to use while still adding all that extra functionality. So some of these items are a little bit more complicated to integrate into the system. And so still trying to figure out the exact way to do that. So some of those items end up in this ideas column. Otherwise, just have a lot of items that we're working on adding into the system. Like, if somebody adds something to the wrong folder, being able to drag it into the correct folder, move things around so that everything stays organized, or organized on your end. So if you have any questions about features you'd like to see, I'll add these to the board, and that way you can kind of see what's kind of in the pipeline coming up soon.
So there are a few questions. Alvin's asking, what's the timeline on adding the ability to limit file types?
That's a great question. That one has been asked about a lot, so I think that's probably going to be the next item that I work on. I'll probably add a little like advanced toggle in each checklist item where you click that and then you get a little thing that expands. And I think that and the ability to make items required so that your clients can't mark something as not applicable. Those have both been highly requested, so I think those are going to be the next items on the list.
Okay. Jennifer's asking, when a request expires, are you able to reopen it and send more requests?
Yes. So when a request expires, instead of the, I believe it's the send reminder button, instead of send reminder, it will say reopen request. And when you click that, it'll add an extra 30 days to the request, and it will notify the client again that the item has been, that the request has been reopened, and gives them the opportunity to add more documents.
Kimberly's asking, can we combine templates in one request? Which I don't know if I've tried to do.
Yeah, right now you can't combine requests.
Okay.
So typically I'll advise people to just put, if that's going to be a consideration, to create one template with all of the things that you might ask for, and then just go in and check things, X things out. But I do kind of see the reason for that. There may be situations where there's a group of items that you need to include in certain instances. So, I think I'll add that into the ideas column and try to brainstorm about how that might work, so that you can kind of select a group of templates, and we'll just put all of those checklist items in.
Okay. So Theta's asking about texting. So I don't know if you guys can see. I don't know how to make this clear. Anyway, this is the text that I got. And so when I click on it, it's going to appear really the same way that it does on on the computer where, of course, it's taking forever. Okay, probably have to get really close to the camera because actually it's behind my computer. Yeah. So it's gonna, yeah. So that's what it looks like. It might be a little blurry, but it's very easy to read. So even if it's blurry, you can probably see that there's green and there's red. So it's really easy for the client to see this is what's done and this is not what's not been done. So when the client gets reminders, even if they've uploaded things in between you sending it out and getting the reminder, it'll have marked off what they've done and what they have left to do. Because of course we all get the clients that send us 2 pieces of paper and say, oh my gosh, I don't know what you want, leave me alone. So this is really clear what they've given and what they haven't given. So every time they get a reminder, it's always going to be updated. They just ask, is the email coming from me or from my paralegal? You can add them as a user. So my paralegal is added as a user. So when she's sending it out, it's coming from her. When I send it out, it comes from me. If you wanted to, you could create a shared login, I guess, and just have it coming from the office if it matters to you whether or not, you know, who it comes from. But how I do it is just, it's coming from her if she's the one sending it.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that a little bit more. There is the ability to create like a team alias. So if you want items to be sent from you or your paralegal or anyone on your team all as like one name and email, we can set that up. So still working on getting that into the actual settings page, but if you email me, I can set that up for your account. That way you can kind of have like a group email that everything gets sent from.
And Sonny is asking a 2-part question. I can answer one of them at least. So how does this compare to SharePoint or Dropbox in terms of ease of use and security? So in terms of ease of use, it's similar, but it's a different function. So I've used both SharePoint and Dropbox, and the limitations on those are, of course, you can send a client a link and say, hey, upload stuff, because that's what I've been doing. I use mostly Ignite for that, but it's pretty much the same principle. But the problem is it doesn't really force them to do it in any sort of organized way. Now, what you could conceivably do in Dropbox is create, I guess, a folder and a whole bunch of subfolders and then send them links to each folder and tell them to upload to that individual folder. That is going to take you a long time. So this sort of combines that functionality by allowing you to send out one request and having those individual folders already there and things automatically going into the correct folder. So yeah, Steve, can you answer the security question?
Yeah, sure. And just to touch on that just a little bit more, you know, Dropbox is really designed for kind of managing your files on your end. And, you know, like Regina said, there's the ability to ask for, you know, submissions via link. But yeah, Pipefile is really designed for kind of the more intensive kind of document collection process. And so we, you know, build the product, really designed it for that purpose. And, you know, in terms of security, you know, one of the things that you'll see on the upload page is there's a little key icon in the upload zone. And if you actually click on that, you can see the encryption key that we use. So we actually encrypt the documents in the client's browser before even uploading it. So the system is very secure in that sense. We're running on Amazon Web Services, which runs in a secured, you know, data hosting center. So the system is designed to be really as secure as possible in that sense.
Okay, so there's some questions too in the chat. Nicola asked, where are the folders? So I will share my screen and show her what a completed request looks like. Actually, I don't know if I should share the right one. Hold on. Share screen to this one. Okay, so this is a completed request. And as you can see, you know, all of this is marked off. So all I would do is hit download zip, and it's probably gonna take a while because this is like hundreds of documents. So once it downloads, I'll show you what it looks like. It'll take a while. So I'll just stop sharing. We'll go and answer some other questions, but Nicole, I'll go back and then show you how it produces the files. Angel's asking, do you have to create the list with each case? Well, no, because you can use templates. So usually, at least in family law, the requests are going to be fairly similar. Like in a family law case, they're never not going to ask for tax returns. If you're a PI or attorney, they're never not going to ask for pictures or medical records. So you can create a template of the stuff that you know is coming, and then when it's time to actually send to the client, the only thing that you need to edit is the number that it corresponds to.
Mm-hmm. And just to touch on that a little bit more, if you do want that like more flexible use case of instead of a checklist, you just want a place for them to upload secure documents. There's another type of request called an open-ended request, and that will just have a simple upload link, and it wouldn't have any of the kind of advanced checklist features like we talked about, but that would just kind of give you just a generic kind of upload link to share with your clients. And in addition to that, we also have a profile. So you can set up a link, pipefile.com/Steve is mine, pipefile.com/my law firm. You can set that up and just make it easy to put that in your email signature so that customers, if they just have an offhand document that they need to send you, they just put their name and email and upload the documents.
Angel's asking me, how can this be used for interrogatories? So actually pretty easily. So give me 1 second. I'm sorry, this is the download actually. So I'll come back to that. I don't have templates for interrogatories, but you could actually do it that way. What you would do is just for each interrogatory, just make it a separate request and actually ask them to put their answers in there. I personally don't do it that way because I just convert my interrogatories to Word to begin with. So I just tell them to download the Word document and edit the Word document and then upload the Word document. But you could do it that way. I don't know that I would want to do it that way. To me, this is just a way to kind of receive actual documents instead of responses. So I prefer to have it in a Word document anyway, because I've got to send it back to the other side in a Word document. So instead of cutting and pasting from Pipefile back into Word, I just give them the Word document. Okay, so the download is ready. So give me a second. Give me a second, and I'll show you what it looks like. Where is it? Here it is. So I actually ended up downloading a smaller file because the other one was taking too long. So this is just a download from one that only had 4 folders, but the names of the folders are exactly what I named them. So with the other ones that had like 43, it was RPD1 and then bank statements, and it's like that all the way down. So it just comes almost ready to go to the other side versus us having to do additional work, organizing and getting it together before sending it to the other side. Jamie is asking, can you redact the client documents within this system? I'm guessing no. And are you sharing the documents from opposing counsel from the system? And the answer is also no. So this is just for us to get it. And like I said, because it's very easy to just download the zip file and have all the organized files right there, I'm just downloading them to my system. And then if I need to edit or if I need to redact, do anything, I'm doing it on my system, and then I'm sending it out to opposing counsel. So this is just more about gathering the documents for me versus sharing it with other attorneys. I use a totally different thing from that. Jennifer's saying, so the generic upload link, they can just send me all the random text messages and emails and photos whenever they feel like it throughout the case, and they'll be saved in the same place. Yes. So I actually already had a system for that specific thing outside of it, because when you send someone a generic upload link, that's kind of what I was doing, just for all those sort of miscellaneous things that don't really belong in any kind of category. I was sending one generic upload link and then sorting through it later. So yes, you could definitely use it for that purpose. I already have a link that I use for that. So I've just streamlined this really to cover discovery responses and very targeted requests for specific purposes. But yes, you can definitely hijack it for that reason.
Yeah, Jennifer, you'd probably want to use the open-ended request for that feature, or your profile link as well. Yeah, I'm happy to kind of jump through. I can kind of share my screen again and go through some of the other features like the profile, and kind of, the ability to customize the email sequences and things like that. Let me pull some of that up right now.
And while you're doing that, Nicola said, yeah, this cuts out the back and forth between clients and attorneys. Oh my goodness, it absolutely does. Because even when we would go through and give very detailed emails, you have given us this, you have not given us this. For some reason, when it's written in words, clients don't get it. But when they see a line and a green check next to it and then a line and a red X next to it, it makes more sense that, look, this is what we're missing.
Yeah, really just trying to make this as simple and streamlined for your clients. And that should reduce a lot of headache on your end as well. Um, so yeah, just to touch on some of the other items we mentioned, you know, have here kind of so if you see on the left-hand side, we have all requests, and these are the request items that we've asked from clients. And then over here, we have profile. And if you set up your profile, you can create a little kind of link that you can put in your email signature or send to your clients. And if you open that up, it'll just have a simple, you know, you can customize all the text here. And you know, this will have the ability for your clients to put their name and email, and it will actually create a request on the other end for them. So if I go back here, if we click edit, now by default, it's going to create a lead form. And a lead form is essentially where we take a template and we create a public link so that customers can, or your clients can put their name and email and kind of opt into creating a request. So normally you would select the template and then that will fill out the list here and then put the recipient's name here. What the lead form is going to do is going to give them the ability to kind of self-service in that sense. So if we go here to settings and we go to lead forms, I have a sample lead form here. We have the title, some basic instructions, and then we have here the sample open-ended request. And when we open up that link, we have here kind of, you know, like we said, the you know, lead form name and some basic instructions. And then we have the ability for your client to put their name, email, and phone number. The only required feature field here is name. So if they add their email, then we can also follow up and send them reminders. If they don't, then that's fine too. So I'll just put Steve and my email here. And
so this is definitely, oh, sorry, I was gonna say, this is definitely great for the, especially family law clients where something is happening every 5 seconds and you don't want to get emails, you know, you don't need a Twitter feed and a live update of what's happening as it happens. So when they send things to this, it just all aggregates in one folder. So when you actually have the time to go look at it, it's all there as opposed to sorting through 15 emails.
Yep. And so this just gives them the ability to kind of give their name and information, and it's just going to create a link here that they can upload documents to. And they will also receive a copy of this link that they can use in the future. So once they put their name and email, they can reference that there. And then this is an open-ended request. So once they add something, they can just hit send more files, and it just kind of brings them through this kind of infinite loop here of just adding documents. And you can accomplish that with the checklist too. It's just a little bit more intuitive in this sense for that purpose. And what that's going to do is that's going to actually create a request which goes into your all request list. So when they submit those forms, they're going to show up as requests here in this list. And so this is an example of an open-ended request. If we copy the link here and open that up again, we can see that they can just keep adding documents here. So we'll add documents 1, 2, 2, and 3 here. And we'll hit upload. And when we come back over here, if we refresh the page, we'll see that now these documents are here as well. Yeah, so in this sense, it's just all one folder. So it's just kind of an unstructured stream of documents if that's what you need. So you can also send your clients an open-ended request at any time, or you can give them a lead form to let them kind of opt into it as they see fit. So that should be helpful.
Angel's asking, can they comment on the open document submissions?
So right now that is on the roadmap, the client upload notes. I'm still trying to figure out how to add that in without kind of making it too confusing for the clients, because we're really just trying to make that as simple as possible. But I totally see the use case there. So for now, would definitely recommend just, you know, continuing an open dialogue with the clients, and, you know, they can send you emails and all that. But yeah, I see the reason why you would want to have all that in one place for sure.
Yeah, it definitely would be helpful. It's, you know, someone's sending a picture and it's completely out of context. I have no idea what it is. So they can upload a picture and then just say, this is a picture of my ex doing, you know, insert terrible thing. Then it's just easy to sort of keep it all together for when we're reviewing it later on.
Of course. And another item I wanted to kind of go through is something called notification sequences. So, you know, we're going to send emails and text messages to your clients as part of the reminders and the initial requests, as well as like when the request is marked completed. And so some customers have asked about, you know, how do we kind of customize those emails? What do those emails look like? When you create an account, feel free to send yourself a request and just send a few reminders and see what those emails look like. But if you want to customize those, you can create a notification sequence. And you can find that on the settings page here. So if we go to notification sequences and we just create one, this is going to give us the ability to customize the initial email that we send, as well as the text message, as well as all of the reminders and the final kind of completed note as well. And you can create a sequence where you use the defaults, for example, in the reminders if you don't want to customize the reminder emails. But let's say, for the initial request, we're going to say, request for information. We can add kind of a generic message here, as a new client, we need some documents from you, please click the link below to upload your documents. And then you can customize the button text. That's going to be the text that's just on the big button. So, upload here. And then I'll just use the defaults for everything else here. And we'll name this, new client sequence. And then if we hit create sequence, now what we'll see is we'll see that on the options when we go to the new request page. If we scroll down here, the default is kind of the built-in, and then we have new client sequence. So if we select that, it's going to choose the emails from that sequence to send to your clients. So if you want to customize that, make it a little bit more specific to your kind of process, welcome to do that as well. So that'll kind of help you kind of customize some of those emails too.
So Teresa asked the question, which I think you just kind of answered. Do the every 3-day reminders go out to the client on the open-ended requests? You can customize that. So you can either have reminders or not. But if you wanted to be proactive, what you could do is just for every single client, create their own upload link and just send it to them. And just say, hey, whenever you want to send me something, please don't email it, use this link. And then that way they can just have it saved as a bookmark on their computer and on their phone. So every time they want to upload something, they have that link available. Alvin's asking if you can show again the lead form documents and the open-ended request documents are organized. How are they organized after they are uploaded?
Yeah, sure. So with the lead forms, the lead form is going to, you can attach any type of template to that. So just to give another example, if we go to lead forms, I'm going to create one with a checklist as well. New client documents. So if you, for example, like let's say you didn't want to actually send a request to each new client, but you just wanted to say, hey, use this link. You could, attach a checklist there as well. And then we'll create lead form. Now, if we go to the new client documents, this is a separate lead form that we've created. And so I'll put my name here, put my email. And in this case, it's going to create a template with the checklist that we submitted. So in this case, we've actually created a checklist request as opposed to the open-ended. What I find is that, when you first create your account, you're going to have a lead form created with an open-ended request because that's kind of a more common use case, especially with the profile. But you can kind of customize this however you want. So you can attach it to a checklist template as well, and it will come in that sense. And I think you were asking about how does that get organized in the open-ended request. And the open-ended request, because there's no checklist items, it's going to all be in one folder. So for example, if I hit download zip here, this is going to create a zip folder with it's just going to be one folder with all these documents in it. So let me see if I can open that up here. I'll change screen to that one. So in an open-ended request, it's just going to be one folder. And so as you can see here, all the documents are just in one place. If this was a checklist, we would have multiple folders.
So Theta, you're asking, can the info come to multiple people in your firm? And yes. So in the, Steve, if you want to go to the settings and then the manage your team and the users, so you can add however many users you want that are in your firm. So I honestly don't want a whole bunch of emails, so I don't get them. So everything goes to her. But if I wanted to, I simply could just log on and just see the status of any request. But this is how you invite your team, and you can set it up to have them copied on any incoming requests if you want to.
Yeah. So So by default, it's going to send the notifications to whoever on your team sent the request, which you'll be able to see on the request page. It'll say sent by, whoever on your team sent it. And by default, everybody is going to see the same requests in the inbox here. If you go to filter requests, if you have multiple people on your team, you can uncheck this team requests, and it'll only going to show the ones that you've sent. And there is, if you'd like to isolate your team members, we can create we can disable the shared inbox feature. So we'll be adding that to the settings page as well pretty soon. So still kind of working on setting up some of those settings pages.
Sonia's asking if it integrates with Action Step.
There is no current integration with Action Step. We do have a Zapier integration. I'm not sure if Action Step has a Zapier integration. But if anybody's not familiar with Zapier, Zapier is a great tool that kind of helps connect some of these systems together. It's another third-party application that will let you trigger automatic Pipefile requests. So, for example, if you had another system, another customer management tool, and if it integrates with Zapier, you can set it up so that okay, when you get a new client added to the system, we'll automatically send them this templated request. So we definitely recommend checking out Zapier. In the future, maybe we can do another webinar where we really dig into Zapier and how you can integrate that with Pipefile. But you can find the Zapier integration on the settings page. If you just scroll down, you'll find Zapier integration, and this will bring you kind of to the Pipefile integration for Zapier.
So for anyone else that's curious, that means, because it drives me crazy when people are like, well, I have Clio, does it integrate with Clio? The answer is always yes, because Clio integrates with Zapier. And as long as the other program integrates, I call it Zapier, I don't know if it's the right one or not.
Yeah, yeah.
You can always zap it in there. So Action Step specifically does have an integration, new matter participant, updated matter, new file note. So I can definitely see where you could have a new file note created in Action Step based on responses received through Pipefile. So any program that you're using that has a Zapier integration, if it's in my case, Practice Camp or whatever, it's going to integrate with this. You just have to, use Zapier. And it's really not that hard. It's pretty easy. Or if you don't know how to do it, you can find someone on Fiverr.com that'll do it for you for like $20.
Yeah, I know a lot of customers, they'll set up Zapier integrations where when they add a new client, it sends them an automatic request or something like that. And yeah, still working on adding more and more kind of zaps to the system. Okay. Do we have any more questions? Let me check the chat here. If not, I'm going to download the copy of this webinar, and I'll create a YouTube link that Regina, you can share with the group for anybody who wasn't able to make this call. But thanks again, everybody. Really appreciate everybody taking the time to check this out. You can reach me, Steve, at Pipefile. Happy to answer any questions directly. Yeah, thanks again, everybody.
Great. Thanks, guys. Bye.